up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle, presented by the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright. Joined by my co-host always. We've got Daniel Alameda, we've got Logan Fulmer, and we've got Evan McPhillips in the building. Got a jam-packed show, a lot of stuff to get into. Before we do, make sure you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Listen, boys, Bengals fell to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Daniel and I gave our thoughts on said loss on Monday, but I need to hear you guys' thoughts on it. So without further ado, I'm going to start this off with Logan.
Man, it was a weird game on a number of ways. I think we saw Flacco get kind of shaken up pretty early, and that very clearly bothered him for the rest of the game, and in return frustrated a lot of other people in the game as well. Obviously, the defense was just both kind of like fine and terrible at the same time. You know, the D-line made some solid plays. The linebackers continued to be embarrassing, for the nice way to put it, if that is a nice way to put it. It's just everything just takes turns with what's the biggest problem: pass rush, tackling, secondary, pass rush, tackling, secondary, offensive line. Like, it just keeps rotating what the issue is. They've still yet to be able to really put anything together fully. And again, you started to see the frustration really mount this week. And I think that's the big takeaway is, you know, the frustration is starting to become more and more obvious. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this Joe Burrow situation as that gets closer and closer and closer, as it appears it might almost be here. But just in general, there's a lot of things starting to really add up in a negative light for the Bengals, and the Steelers really, really, really highlighted them on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a lot more into some of the specifics surrounding the big picture of the Bengals and kind of the takeaways in that sense. But I mean, it's just constantly missed tackles to the point where, I mean, the fundamentals are so poor and so bad that you can't even run the most basic of defenses anymore at this point, because if Barrett Carter and Geno Stone and Josh Newton and everybody else are going to be missing so many tackles that you're going to be giving up multiple 3rd and longs on checkdowns, like at the sticks, that's, I mean, frankly, it's just about as bad as it gets. So with that in mind, I mean, hey, it was really cool to see some flashes from Myles Murphy. Maybe you see more of that down the stretch. Maybe they decide, hey, he's still his 5th-year options for this coming season might be a little pricey. So we'll see what happens with that. But would be nice to see him continue to develop and, you know, finally develop that counter in year 4 or 5. But better late than never, as they say, right? Offense, like you said, just could not get it going. We talked a couple weeks ago and we're like, hey, that Steelers game was a lot of fun. Don't try and take away a lot of long-term takeaways, because not a lot of teams are just going to leave Ja'Marr Chase unpressured and play way off him on the line of scrimmage to where Joe Flacco can just play catch with him at the line of scrimmage all day. That it was, you know, well played there. The Steelers didn't make a good adjustment. Well, they adjusted. And when they took away Ja'Marr Chase and put pressure on T. Higgins, they just could not consistently find ways to produce. So disappointing, like you said, the Flacco getting shaken up definitely kind of affected him. But, you know, to Zach Taylor's comments of we didn't feel like it was indicative of how he played. Well, yeah, you want to take away a whole quarter because you don't feel like it's fair to you. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, just take away 4 plays. You don't even take away a whole quarter. Hey, there you go. You took away other touchdowns. You win the game. Like, oh, what? You want it to be the first quarter? Like, would it be better if that was the first quarter instead of the fourth? And then you played a great 3 quarters and scored 12 points and, you know, second, third, and fourth, right? Like, does that make it better? What sequence or order in which you put that, does it make it better? And that's just kind of like, hey, man, you're doing the right things and like sticking up for Ja'Marr Chase, and you're doing the right things in terms of kind of like speaking for the front office who does not make themselves available. And that's what makes it so frustrating, because like he can be real in those moments of like, hey, I'm sticking up for my guys and you respect that. But then he does that where he blatantly goes, well, you know, like actually in the game, I think it wasn't actually as bad as it looked. And it's like, dude, I take the sequence of events and reorder them, rearrange them, put them through whatever lens you want. You got your ass kicked. That's all there is to it. So don't try and whataboutism for your 5th straight week and try and tell us what we can see plainly with our own 2 eyes. You don't have to be a genius to understand what's going on right now. So that's the part that just frustrates me, is like, don't insult the intelligence of the fans who are watching this game, because they all see what's going on, and to tell them like, hey, no, we actually feel like we're pretty close to being the team we want to be. And we're just, we just need to execute on some things. Like, dude, how many weeks does that buy you? Yeah. Pete Carroll had a lot more success than Zach Taylor. And even eventually the clock ran out where the raw nature of a guy who is basically spirit of the locker room, CEO kind of guy in that same ilk, Pete Carroll was like the peak of that. And even that got old with a lot of the guys, despite winning multiple Super Bowls and being as good as he was. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, man. I think where I struggle with this team is, and Evan, Logan, I think you guys summed it up perfectly. The clock's running out, man. I look at other teams, and I hate to say it. Yes, you got dealt a bad hand with Joe Burrow's injury. I understand that, but teams have won with less so many times. 49ers right now are winning with Mac Jones. They were 5-3 this season with Mac Jones. They won with less. The Cincinnati Bengals aren't. They're 3-7. This is a bad football team. So I'm excited to watch this team the rest of the season from, analysis standpoint. I'm still excited to watch this team perform, but playoffs, the hopes that I had for this season, it's out the door. So now comes the fun conversations of, hey, how do they get back to the playoffs in the future? Is it head coaching changes? Is it the draft? Is it Duke Tobin? That's where my mindset is now. And it sucks to be at this point, week 12 of the NFL season, but that's where we are. So any last hope that the Bengals had, in my opinion, of making the playoffs was this week. So, and I know that term is kind of thrown around, playoffs. I still had hope when Joe Flacco was here. I still had hope heading into the New York Jets game. I still had hope heading into the Chicago Bears game. I have no hope for the Bengals making the playoffs right now. So that's where the conversation, at least for me, kind of starts to shift for the rest of the season.
Well, I think what you said there is a sad reality, right? It's unfortunate. You talk about a team that had so much hopes going into the year, and obviously they fell flat on their face. Part of that was due to the Joe Burrow injury, but you just expected that this defense would show better, albeit they did look better in the Browns game than what they had in weeks past, all things considered. That being said, it still wasn't enough, right? It still wasn't enough. And I look at it and I say the Steelers game, it was a game that was winnable. It was a game that was winnable. And I think we all walk away from that feeling this way. And it feels like this team is grasping for straws. All right. And they're holding on to the fact that Joe Burrow is coming back, right, as the guiding light, the thing that's going to, quote unquote, save the season, the thing for Zach Taylor that might save his job, but is it going to be enough? So that brings us to the next point, right, which is how do we all feel about Joe Burrow potentially coming back? What are your thoughts on Joe Burrow coming back? Before we jump into all that, I want to make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Remember, this is a show where we're going to be having some guests join us. We want to hear from the fan base. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your concern. We know we got like 7 people waiting in the back. So we're going to get to those. We are going to get to those. But first, I want to get the boys, thoughts on Joe Burrow's pending return. He practiced in full today. Some are excited about it. Anytime you get to see 9 line up, I guess you should be excited to a degree. But Evan, what are your thoughts? You took a big, deep breath there just now. So.
If this was like a minor side high ankle sprain and there wasn't like a fairly significant degree of risk of re-injury coming back, like, or trying to maybe push the issue a little bit, you're not competitive, like, to even come back in this week, like, give it another week or two. Like, I understand things are going great. That's fantastic. There's zero reason to rush back at this point.
Yeah.
I love Joe Burrow. I love watching Joe Burrow play football. I want the Bengals to be competitive, but I just don't see a world in which you come back fresh off this injury. And if we say, hey, Joe Burrow bears responsibility for, coming back from injury and kind of starting off rusty in the last few years, like, okay, well, now he's starting off rusty and he hasn't really played outside of this week for the last couple of weeks. So, like, if you put any credence into that theory, like, and Joe Burrow needs some time to shake off the rust, I don't see why live action against NFL teams that are playing for something, that are looking to hit in front of an offensive line that doesn't necessarily inspire a lot of confidence. I just don't. I don't love the prospect. The long term, the short term gains, little as they are, just don't seem to outweigh anything. Whether that's Joe Burrow's health, the draft prospects that you can get with a better or worse pick, and this isn't necessarily about a tanking argument. It's just that no matter which way you really want to look at it, outside of for the love of the game, is the only argument you can make for Joe Burrow being out there playing right now. Like, that's really it. And if that's great as a fan, but you're asking me to put my thinking cap on and be like, hey, is this the GM? Is this the organization? Is this the coach? If I'm anybody who has any type of vested interest in trying to win and win long term, outside of just I love watching Joe Burrow play, I'm not playing him.
Yeah, man, and I totally understand all those points. I don't think there's really a wrong way to go about this. But I'd like to think that Joe is smart enough not to put that long-term injury risk on the field if he doesn't feel 100% comfortable doing so. We all know how much of a competitor and how much of a just nut job he is when it comes to the sport and playing and doing so many things, so yeah, and in the best way possible, so that gives me the hope that he knows what he's doing a little bit more. Obviously, these injuries are always dependent on person to person, man. Everybody's recovery time is completely different. There's no world to me where he is 90% healthy, 100% healthy, and he doesn't play. Like, there's just maybe he doesn't come back the next week, maybe or the week after, maybe he just plays down the stretch against the Cardinals, Dolphins, Browns, whatever it is, just to get something. There's just he's gonna play this year.
Patriots, Ravens, and Bills doesn't need to be the
Maybe those don't need to be when he comes back, but Joe Burrow's gonna play this year. I'd like him to play this year. I don't want to say knock that rust off, but just go into the offseason with some confidence, with some I already checked off the coming back from injury box. That's not having anything else to worry about. And like Evan said, man, we're all going to be excited to watch him play. It sucks that it's under the notion of maybe he's rushing back to do this or that. Maybe he's not ready or whatever it is. But anytime he steps on the field for my favorite team, I'm going to be excited to watch him and try not to worry about all the downsides that happen. But again, any way you feel about it makes total sense to me. Like, there's no right or wrong answer here, in my opinion.
Yeah. When I look at the potential for Joe Burrow to come back, I have no doubt he's playing this season. If I were in the position of the organization and the head coach, I'd probably look at Joe Burrow, and I can almost guarantee that even if Joe Burrow didn't feel 90%, 80%, he's going to walk into the offense saying, hey, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel as the organization, and maybe this is my opinion and I don't have enough of the research behind the specific injury. I'm looking at how much he's practicing. I know he came back today, full practice, and then he's going to get probably live reps tomorrow and Friday. I still might not play him, and that's a harsh reality, but for me, I'm looking at the long-term health of that guy, and I'm saying, hey, I don't know by you playing this week if that's really going to save our entire season. And I would hope that Zac Taylor and this organization, they can look at it and say, hey, like you guys said, look at the long-term vision, because if he doesn't play this Patriots game, that is not an end-all be-all. You still have, hey, give him another week, and you still got a big-time Ravens game, a big-time Bills game, then another Ravens game, then 3 more games. That's 6 weeks of football to play. So the probability of Joe Burrow playing, like I said, he should still play. And I still think 6 weeks is enough for him to feel like he got a full grasp in. If I'm in the Bengals position, in my opinion, I'm not playing him this week just because I would rather give him one more week of practice, and I would just hate to see him rush back from this injury too early. But
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I understand why he's coming back, right? And I think the protection shield goes up for us because we don't want to see him get re-injured. But let's remember, guys, his job is to be the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's getting paid millions of dollars to do that, right? And we're not utilizing him to the best of his ability while he's sitting on the bench. Even if you feel like, it could be a risk, and no doubt any injury is a risk. You have the chance of re-injuring with him being the franchise quarterback. You want to also deal with it with kid gloves to a degree, but at the same time, I understand why he's coming back. You now hope with him returning to the lineup that it brings, I guess, an emotional boost to the team, if that is a thing, right? You hope that maybe the defense would feel compelled to play harder, fight harder. I wonder about Joe Flacco's shoulder.
That's fair.
Right? Yep. The health of that, because he didn't look like the same guy that we saw the first few weeks when he was here in Cincinnati, and that had to be due to injury. So with him returning to the lineup, you got to wonder, I guess it's a fair question at this point, who gives you a better chance to win? Is it Joe Burrow or is it Joe Flacco? Because both guys are dealing with something. Both guys are dealing with an ailment. And no matter at what point Joe Burrow comes back, well, the injury is going to be a talking point. It's going to be a topic of discussion. We're going to be looking at it very, very closely every single time a drive ends. We're going to be watching it. We're going to be like, oh, is he limping? Oh, is he getting checked out? And no doubt he's probably going to have to get a shot or two to even just play in the game. They're going to say, oh, well, he's not dealing with any pain and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is a turf toe injury is a lot to come back from, especially in the same season, right? But you're hopeful. Usually, and if you want any thing to compare it to, look at how the 49ers are dealing with the Brock Purdy situation. Brock Purdy's dealing with a similar turf toe injury, but not the exact same one. Joe Burrow's one was apparently more severe, although they sort of missed the same amount of time, right? Just one was on IR, one wasn't. So it's going to be interesting to see how we navigate this weird time here in Cincinnati. That being said, again, if you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Listen, we promised you guests on the show. We promised you to hear from the fan base. Doesn't matter if it's on topic or not on topic. We want to hear from the people. All right. So that's when I turn the floor over to Daniel and we start introducing some of these people onto the show.
All right, let's get one of our first guests in the show. Jimmy, you can bring him on in and we can discuss a little bit about the Bengals. What's going on? How are you doing?
What's going on, guys? Good to be with you. I'm a big fan. Wish it was under better circumstances. I'm also a Boston College grad, so I'm in football hell right now.
Oh, man. What's your name, man?
I'm John.
Nice to meet you, John.
John, we appreciate you being on the show. First off, we're going to open up the floor to you, man, right? Is there any thoughts specifically on this Bengals season, on how they're going about it, 3-7? Talk to us, John. What you got for us?
I mean, this has got to be the most frustrating season I can remember, and I've been following this team my whole life. I just turned 40, and I became aware of the Bengals in like 1990. So I've been through a lot, and this is pretty bad. But I keep coming back to ownership and the lack of accountability within the C-suite of this team, and it's driving me absolutely crazy. Because we never hear anything from these people except at Mock Turtle Soup Day once a year. And when things go sideways, like they just hide in their office and hunker down and hope they're going to ride out the storm. But the problem is this isn't Paul Brown's Bengals in 1975, where the only thing you have to worry about is the Cincinnati Enquirer writing a mean op-ed. This is a 24/7, 365 business, and you can't just treat your customers, your fan base, with silence. And I think it has created a severe credibility problem with these owners. And I don't think anybody in this fan base has any faith in them to do the right things. So you can talk about firing people like Zach and Duke have got to go. 100% agree with that. But until this ownership group understands that their philosophy doesn't work, I don't care who you plug into those roles, I don't see anything changing. And I don't know how you make them wake up and realize that what they're doing doesn't work, but something's got to change. Like, as a fan, like, I live in North Carolina now. I'm not in Cincinnati. I'm originally from Kentucky, but my wife and I have spent thousands of dollars on this team. We were at the Super Bowl. We were at the Raiders playoff game. And there are lots of fans who spend a lot more money than us, and that we get nothing in return from these owners. The most loyal fans, the season ticket holders, get a sticker in the mail. And
Yeah. You can say that again.
It's like so illogical. It's like the Twilight Zone. And I don't understand how none of these people ever show any accountability for anything. Duke Tobin sat there at Mock Turtle Soup Day and said with a straight face, this is a championship caliber team. And if things last year went our way, we would have been 16-1 and all that good stuff. But this week 11 and this team's 3-7. So it's clearly not a championship caliber team. So why isn't there any accountability? Like, either Duke's just lying and blowing smoke, or even worse, he thought this was a championship caliber team and it's not. So I don't know how we do it. As a fan base, we've got to keep the heat on the Browns and the Blackburns. The funny thing is, I actually think this fan base wants to embrace this ownership group. Like, at the AFC Championship game we won in Kansas City, they were chanting Mike Brown's name when he was walking off the field into the tunnel. I think this city and this fan base wants to support them, but they just make it so damn hard. And I don't know how to make them see that. Like, I want to just break into those offices and just scream at them to, like, wake them up out of this coma that they seem to live in at all times. And you want to save them from themselves, but until that changes, I don't know how things get fixed. Sorry. That was
yeah, we love that. And before Logan's about to ask the question, but I think you made a great point. The fans want to embrace this team. The fans want to embrace the organization. So I just want to applaud. I thought that was a phenomenal point. And it's the fans' jobs. And they, especially like you said, you and your wife, shout out to you guys, paying thousands of dollars on this team. So you have a right to feel invested. So
yeah, no, the only thing I kind of wanted to keep discussing is there's so much negativity, but the kind of fun part about all this is trying to find the silver linings and trying to find people, players, situations. What is there anything that stuck out to you as like a big positive this year, or just anything that has come from what feels like a completely and utterly disappointing, wasted season? Has there been any positives in your mind this year?
I mean, I respect the hell out of Joe Burrow. The fact that he's busting his ass to come back and play for this team that is really dead in the water, I applaud that. And that's a silver lining. I love watching Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins play football. I love the season that T. Higgins is having so far. He's been healthy, and he's showing how good he really is. So those are definitely positives. But there are just so many unforced errors that from the top down, it's just being a Bengals fan is uniquely frustrating. I don't think people really understand that until they've been in it for a while. And that's why the negativity is just so pervasive, because it just feels hopeless. Because until the people who own the team wake up and change their mentality, you're going to see more of the same. So,
Evan, I want to get you in on here real quick. You got any question or any thoughts on what John was saying?
Yeah, man, I think John made some great points there. Really echoed a lot of sentiments that I've shared about the, like you said, the C-suite there. The only thing that I kind of thought and wanted to add to kind of further add some evidence to his points, like he said, man, it's really frustrating to feel like you're not getting that communication or that accountability from the ownership group and from Duke Tobin when they show up at Mock Turtle Soup where, hey, it's been a couple months since the season happened. So like everyone's cooled off and moved on to other storylines and maybe isn't paying as much attention or isn't as angry with us. And also we just drafted these players and added these free agents. So now we can kind of be like, well, we did all of these things. So like, you can't be mad at us for how last season went, because look at all these things we did. And you can't say we're going to be bad again. And we can't say anything for sure because we really tried real hard and we don't know until the season happens. But then the season happens, things go poorly. They have the same problems that happen all the time. And then you don't have that chance for accountability. But then they go, well, we drafted these guys and we added these guys, and that's going to fix everything. And we'll see. But we can't know until the season happens. And see you next year. And then Zach is just up there getting just bombs hurled at him every press conference. And then I agree. They were trying to run it like old school, man. Like, I understand Mike and the family wanting to kind of be like, hey, it's our dad did it the right way. Like, I got to do it like Paul Brown did it, right? Like, and that's just, Paul Brown is an innovator. And you can pay homage to the past while innovating to be competitive for the future. Right now they are, like trading stocks when computers started coming in and doing like computer trading, and they can do 1,000 trades in the time it takes you to log in. Right. And it's like, you can say that the old way is better, but everybody's doing the new way. And if you don't get with the times, then you get left behind and you can't truly compete with the elites.
Right.
You're an NFL team right now. If you truly want to compete in a modern market right now with the elites, you can't do that the way you're doing things right now. You got to structure contracts differently. You got to get more aggressive in how early you get deals done to maximize your cap savings. You got to get creative with how you put the cap together. And you can't just say everything is going to be a boilerplate contract and this is the number we have and that's how we do things and that's the Bengal way. And also, you don't get any money past year 2 guaranteed unless you're Joe Burrow or Ja'Marr Chase. That's just not the way the NFL is done anymore. So you're going to constantly keep hamstringing yourself if you're playing this way and trying to do things old school. So just good points by John. Just wanted to add my 2 cents there.
John, you look like an honorary member of State of the Jungle, man. You look like you know what you're talking about. You look like you could join us on this show each and every single week. First and foremost, love your state as well. That's my place I love to go in vacation when I need to relax. So, I might be getting a house in North Carolina in the future. But, man, I wanted to say to you, great points by you. It's very difficult. It's very challenging to, support a team essentially whose ownership feels like they're battling themselves, right? So I wanted to say that you're first and foremost spot on. And part of the reason why we do this show, because, it's easy for guys like myself, Evan, Daniel, and Logan to jump on here every single week, right? And it feels at some point we might be yelling into a void, but I know for a fact there are people in the Bengals brass that watch this show. I've been commented on the job that we do on this show for the last few years. And so the reason why we're doing this week is I think that maybe if the ownership group hears from the fan base, it can invoke some real change, right? We wanted to bring a New York style media here to Cincinnati. And part of why we're doing this, we're opening up the platform, is we want them to hear from the people that are spending their hard-earned money like you and your wife to support this team. Mm-hmm. And only thing that we could hope for, man, is we can hope for a change in the future. But John, from the bottom of my heart, man, I want to say thank you for supporting State of the Jungle, bro. Thank you for joining us this week. And if there's anything closing that you'd like to say, the floor is yours.
I just hope they listen, and I hope they understand that the fans are not the enemies. I know they have this very defensive kind of mindset, but we all want the same things. We all want the Bengals to win, and we just need to evolve and make that happen. So here's hoping that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Also, what jersey are you wearing?
This is a Peter Warwick
Peter Warwick jersey
from 2000 or whenever it was. That's how old I am.
Man, you're not that old, brother. It'd be nice if they actually brought back some throwback jerseys, right, to wear. That'd be pretty cool.
Leaping Tiger, man.
Man, that'd be the way to go. John, hope to have you back on the show soon, man.
See you, dude. See ya.
Appreciate you. Let's get the next up. Appreciate John. Who we got here? Daniel.
What's going on? How you doing? Getting the next person in here.
How you guys doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you guys for letting me come on here and speak my mind. Pretty cool opportunity.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you. Wait, what's your name?
My name's Carson.
We got Carson in here, man. We appreciate you coming onto the show. So
thought we were dealing with Ja'Marr Chase.
I know.
For a second. Thought Ja'Marr Chase was in here. I was about to say, don't get fined now.
Yeah, don't be disappointed.
So what you got for us, Carson? What's your thoughts on the Bengals season? You got any solutions, any gripes with this team? Talk to us, man.
I don't know where to start. I want to touch on the Joe Burrow situation because I think I slightly disagree with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, all I hear, especially online, is if you have Joe Burrow, it's, you got a chance. It's Joe Burrow. He's this, he's that. I think those same people need to not be hypocrites and stick to that. If Joe Burrow's telling you he's good to come back, whether he's lying or not, I think you have to ride with him. And let's say Joe Burrow does play this Sunday against New England. I'm going to be very upset if I go on Twitter and I see people saying, no, don't know. He shouldn't do it. If he says he's playing, and you got to ride with him. You know what I mean? Now, that being said, I think there's like less than a 5% chance that he could run the table and make the playoffs. Like, I don't really see that happening, just given the circumstances, especially the defense playing how it's playing, and the teams coming up on the schedule. But I'm actually excited. I mean, that's when the season started. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see Joe Burrow torching defenses. That's literally why I tune in. You know what I mean? So, slightly disagree with you guys a little bit on that.
Let's
wait, Carson. I agree with you though.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was the only one that said, you kind of got to go with him.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. I do have a bold take though with Joe Burrow coming back, guys. There's one game on the schedule that I can't shake that I think without a doubt the Bengals win. Right? I do think the Bengals can beat Baltimore. I do think the Bengals can potentially beat some of these other, like obviously the Cardinals, the Browns, but there's one team that I really feel like they will be, only because they have this team's number, and that's the Buffalo Bills. I think that's going to shock a lot of people. I think that's going to be a game in which people are like, wow, maybe we shouldn't jump off of the Zach Taylor train so early, but I can't shake the feeling that that's going to be a victory that they do get, and it more than likely they'll probably have Joe Burrow at the helm when they do so. But I want to let Logan and Dana get in here.
Yeah, I think it's a fun conversation. Logan, I don't know exactly where you stand on Joe Burrow playing. The pushback I will have for you, Carson, just to make this a little bit fun, I just disagree with the fact that, you made a great point about Joe Burrow. If he's ready and if he says he's playing, he's playing. Where I will push back on that is it is the organization's job. It is this coaching staff's job to make sure that, let's say the organization, because coaching staff wants to win. It is the organization's job to make sure that guy is healthy. It is their job to make sure that that guy is good to go for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And that's where I would push back on. Just because Joe Burrow says he's ready, I don't see that as an end-all be-all. And the reason why that this sucks, I agree with you. When Joe Burrow's on the field, you have a chance. You're sitting at 3-7. The whole purpose of Joe Burrow coming back, in my opinion, sure, is to try to make the playoffs and win a Super Bowl, but it's more so to put a good product out there and try to win, because Joe Burrow damn right gives you a better chance to win than Joe Flacco. But my concern, if I'm the organization, I gave that guy a check. I gave that guy the keys to my franchise, and I need to make sure he's healthy, because he has missed the better portion of 3 seasons in his 6-year career. That's where my concern lies. But Logan, not sure if you believe he should start this week or where you were with Carson's topic.
I actually love a lot of things that Carson is saying about it, but I agree. The only game that really is a holdup for me would be this New England game. I think that is the one where maybe you try to draw the line, especially knowing you have a short week after, so you wouldn't really get that time to really gauge his recovery. But again, like he said, man, if Joe Burrow's walking in the office and saying, I'm good to go, you got to listen to him, because I think, to me, you got to look at it from their perspective too. Like, what if you don't listen to him and he is healthy, and now you look like an idiot for not playing him and for not winning this game, for not putting your best foot forward? That's just as much of a problem as it is looking for the future. It's a tough line to walk, but at the end of the day, he knows his body better than everybody, man. I'm all for letting him play when he feels like he's good to play. Practice will also tell you a lot. We're not there watching practice. Maybe he's clearly limping and it's very clearly he's not 100%. But if he's presenting like it and doing these things like it and he's looking like it, then
I got two things. I got 2 things I want to respond to that.
Logan, you said something interesting.
Wait.
Carson,
Sorry. I had to mute you going on there. Go ahead.
I'm going to lose my train of thought if I don't get this out. Two things I want to respond to real quick. If you're in the Bengals building right now, and I understand the idea that maybe the Patriots game isn't the game to bring them back, maybe wait a week. But this is the game. if you think there's a sliver of hope that we're going to make a push, this is the game. Like, if you don't play him this week and he says he can play and you're like, no, you got to sit, we don't want to hurt you even further, I feel like you're waving a white flag. So if you think you're going to win this season, if you think you have a chance, this is the week. Point number 2, I don't know who's to say that Flacco is even healthier than Burrow is right now. Is that even, do we know that?
No, we don't.
I don't know. But anyways.
Well, one thing I'll say to add on to Carson before Evan goes, I think if there's ever a game in which you need Joe Burrow with Ja'Marr Chase's absence due to the suspension, it's this one. Because who is going to get the most out of these guys? It's going to be Joe Burrow. Who have we seen uplift talent? Guys like Trent Irwin, guys like Trent Taylor in the past. It's Joe Burrow. And with the health of Joe Flacco's shoulder in question, well, to Carson's point, I agree with them. Evan.
Okay, so I want to first say that, like, yeah, as a fan, wholeheartedly agree. As someone who respects Joe Burrow as a human being, as a player, hey, you know your body better than anybody else. So if you say you're okay and you want to play, like, I understand the human element of, hey, like, who am I to tell the guy no? He says he's ready. Easier said than done to put that guy on ice, right? And he's probably going to go kicking and screaming. Logan, you said, you'd rather, it's a tough line to walk that if, he's healthy and you bench him, you might look like an idiot. Well, Ben Franklin said it's best to be presumed a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So in that instance, again, removing my fan cap here, taking it off, placing it right here, right? If I'm the organization, if I have a vested interest in what happens here, and even if you are the long-term fan, Joe Burrow is the future. Joe Burrow had a serious injury to his ligaments in his toe that can have long-term effects. And we are already 1 week earlier than his original projected return date. You have less than a 1% chance to make the playoffs, according to various sources right now. Everything. Are you willing to bet the future on a 1% chance to watch Joe Burrow play football this season if it means that you might not see him next season or seasons after that, or that he is never the same player? Because that's the conversation we're having here. It's not, do we all enjoy watching Joe Burrow play football? We all enjoy watching Joe Burrow play football. We all want this guy on the field. We love watching him play with Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. It's a great time. It's what makes being a Bengals fan so fun, especially as late, right? But, would you be willing to, hey, 1% odds, you double your salary at work, but if you're wrong, you lose $10,000 on your salary. You're probably like, oh yeah, actually that sounds bad, but that's what happens to the Bengals revenue. What happens to the Bengals as a franchise if they put Joe Burrow out there too soon, don't protect him from himself, and it ends up being an RG3 situation where suddenly a guy gets injured again when he shouldn't have probably been out there. If it's clear, especially if you see that hobbling out there, if you see he's not willing to really put his foot in the ground and drive the football, that matters a lot for a guy who doesn't have the Josh Allen, the Matt Stafford, just arm strength to just launch it using only his upper body. So that's just all the things that stick with me is, again, just like, again, as a fan, I totally agree with you, totally hear you, understand the human element. But, if you're asking me as a fan to consider the future, I'm not willing to bet the future on it right now. I would at least wait until after the Ravens game. Again, I don't even think Joe Burrow coming back, even you sniff the playoffs. Again, we're talking 1 in 99 odds there. Like, that's just, and does anyone feel like the vibes of this team right now are poised to like make a run? Because I don't feel like anybody feels that way. Like, they're not just, oh, we were Joe Burrow away and now we got him back. Like, shit's bad right now, in my opinion. But that's just where I stand looking at it from the objective kind of, bird's eye view.
For sure. And Carson, we're going to get you, to have, obviously a chance to respond. I think the one last point I will make to that too is I agree with Evan. The harsh reality is this coaching staff is probably fighting for their jobs, and they're probably looking to say, hey, we need a win now. And that's where, as an organization, I would have a serious problem with
They're
this.
saying, fuck that toe, respectfully. What? They're saying, fuck that toe. We need you out there.
Yes,
That's what they're on.
That's exactly what they're saying. That's, at this point, you shouldn't have put yourself at 3-7. And that's where I lie with this. But Carson, you got anything to leave us off with, man? We appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, if you accept the fact that, we're going to let Joe Burrow play this weekend, it's scary. You're definitely taking a step off the diving board. And to Evan's point, he said you're at like a 1% chance that you make the playoff. I disagree. I don't think it's that low. I think when you have players that have free will, the percentages don't really mean much that actually play. But it is scary. I just don't think I don't fully agree that the locker room has given up on the season. And to the same point, I'm also not saying that Joe Burrow coming back is just going to flip a switch and the defense is going to just light it up on fire. And I don't think that's going to happen. But I think if he can play and he's cleared to play and people around him are telling him, yes, it's a risk, it's a slight risk, but you can play, I think he needs to, and I think he wants to as well. And I think he would get the win. To be honest with you, I think if he plays this weekend, we win the game. I really do. I'm not going to say that we're going to go on a 7-game win streak, whatever it is. Maybe we drop 1 or 2 to Baltimore, but I think we win this weekend if he plays. And do you guys disagree with that?
Well, that's the problem is if you drop 1 or 2 to Baltimore, you're done.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, you can only lose 1 game.
If that.
But yeah, that's the problem is like, it's a tough position to be in. There is no margin for error, but that's the thing is it's not even about the defense coming back and like looking competent. It's about the defense looking like they know how to tackle, and that's multiple guys. So it's not going to be like, hey, we move this guy around, we fix that. It's that small margin for error where you literally have to go on that type of run they did. What was that, 2-3 years ago in October where they won like 10 straight? Like, that's what we're talking about. And I just don't see how they have that in them right now against the Ravens twice, the Bills, and the Patriots. And then the Dolphins are just always a threat to go for 30 any single week. So that's just, I struggle with that with a Joe Burrow coming off of injury. And that's where I'm like, hey, if we're already conceding that you're not really playing for the playoffs, then you just want to play because Joe Burrow wants to play and be on the field. Okay, well then, like, let's give him the 2-3 weeks to get healthy and then play him the last 3 weeks of the season against the Cardinals and the Dolphins and the Browns and these teams that are not going to be as brutal, especially coming back right off of that injury against the meat and the worst part of the schedule. That's just my opinion.
All right, Carson. Well, we appreciate you tuning into the show and coming on. We'll have to have you on at some point soon, man. But like I said, we appreciate you and thanks for being a Bengals fan. And shout out to you, man. So thanks, Carson.
Appreciate it,
Thank you, sir.
Guys.
All right, let's get the next guest in here, and I mean 2 very good guests so far, I would say. So let's get the next one in here. How are you doing? Uh-oh. Can you hear us? I don't know if he thinks he knows he's in. Hey, can you hear us? Uh-oh.
Yes.
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go. Uh-oh. I think he's lagging a little bit. We got you. What's your name? I think we're
What's your name?
Daniel, your Wi-Fi connection is failing us right now, man.
Hey, what's
I
your
can
name?
hear you
Can you hear
guys.
us? Awesome. All right. Sorry, I couldn't tell if that was just me or him. So we kind of want to open the floor up to you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Give you a chance to speak to the Bengals fans. What you got for us?
First and foremost, I want to say thanks for the invite. I'm a big fan of you guys' show, and I love the points that you guys make every week. One point I have is that I truly hope that this off season, whichever direction go, whether Zach stays or not, but that the football guys are only going to be so kind for so many times. Like, if you look at the last 20 years or so, I've been very fortunate for some good to average quarterback play. We had the Carson years, we had the Dodgers. How you feel about Dalton, and then we have
He
the
was
Burrow.
good. He was good.
We have the Burrow era
Did the
we're in
job.
now. And so, and also having guys that fit, like Burrow fits our organization. T and Jamar fit our organization. Like, because you can constantly draft guys, but for them to actually fit the organization and what it is you're trying to do. Like I thought AJ Green fit our organization. I thought Chad fit our organization. So you're only going to have so many opportunities to draft guys that hit and fit your organization. So I'm hoping that, you know, the front office really takes a hard look in the mirror and makes the right decisions, whether it's changing philosophy, whether it's expanding scout department, like whatever it is. Because to be honest with you, like the AFC is not competitive this year, and I think if things were all different, we may be carrying the 1 seed right now. So I just by saying that, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think in general, we've talked about the scouting department and doing all these little different things that could matter so much, and it just continuously grows in frustration that those things feel so obvious. Like you just made all the great points about it, and we still won't do or try anything. I think that's the most frustrating part about it. I couldn't agree more. I just want to see some sort of change in some way, like to give you any hope, to give you anything, but they're just not really giving that to us right now, man.
Yeah, and my question to you would be, what would you change, right? If you had the ability to be in that room, be in the organization, how would you try to fix the Bengals as it currently stands right now?
Me personally, I would expand the scouting department, because if you say that you're going to be a draft and retain type organization and you're not going to be big spenders in free agency, then why not allocate those funds to finding the best talent in development? Because let's say you are a draft and develop type. If you're developing your guys, no matter who you bring in, if you guys don't, meet a number free agent wise, it shouldn't matter, because you have the next guy ready to take over, or at least you have a prototype in mind, when you're scouting. So if it would me personally, I would expand our scouting department, because like I previously said, that if you are not if you're going to retain some guys, at least you already have a model in mind. Because if you think about it, we really don't have a Bengals type guy. I don't want to give too much to our division rival, but when you see a guy, you say that's a Raven. You'll say that's a Steeler. But we really don't have that tonight. We really don't have a Bengals type guy.
So let me ask you a question. I hear where you're coming from, but then there were folks that will counter your point, that will say, hey, the Bengals added 2 scouts this year, right? You can expand the scouting department, but until you get a real decision maker in here that you allow to make critical decisions, you can keep expanding the scouting department, right, as long as you want. But how significant will that change actually be? And I think that's a fair question, right? Ideally, you hope that this Bengals team at some point would add a decision maker that they would give the autonomy to make critical decisions that would impact this franchise. Right now, respectfully, any quote unquote scout they bring in would answer to one man, right? And that's the director of player personnel, Duke Tobin. Oh, my bad. And the 3 Bengals assistant general managers, right? Because right now there isn't anyone to sort of pin any of this on. And that's the way they want it. That's the way it's been since when Marvin was here. There's so many quote unquote decision makers, right? But who do you actually place the blame on? The Brown family could come out and say, hey, don't blame Duke. Duke is just the director of player personnel. Do we know what a director of player personnel's responsibilities are for any other organization? I can promise you right now, it's not roster management. They have input in roster management, but they typically give that input to said general manager. The Bengals are the only place where you have a quote unquote de facto general manager. Why do you not just give the title? And I think part of that is the fear of giving up control. Now, somebody said this dude looks like Malik's dad in the comments. Somebody said we look alike, man. That's great. That's great. I think that getting an outside voice, getting people in here that maybe have learned under a different regime, because it's easy to say move on from Duke Tobin, but how likely is the person that they move on from Duke Tobin, they replace Duke Tobin with, is going to be an in-house guy?
Can I add to that?
Trey Brown. Sure, Evan.
Yeah. Let's say they add 2 more scouts, right? As soon as those scouts start to speak up about a decision to be made in the draft, Duke Tobin and Mike and Katie are all going to go in their corner and they're going to make the decision and be like, hey, you've been here 1 year, pipe down, right?
Yeah.
Does that change anything?
No.
Right. If you change whatever Duke Tobin does or put somebody else in there, but Katie is still handling all the financial transactions and all the contracts, do you get any contracts done in the modern, new, engaging way?
Yes. No. Right.
Right. You don't, because that's still being done by the same person. So until they can remove themselves from that decision-making process and trust professionals to do what they do, it's always going to be filtered back through the lens of Mike Brown doesn't like that guy, or Mike Brown loves this guy though. So even though we have him 5 spots lower on our draft board, Mike loves him. So we got to give him a gold star and we'll pick him next round, even though he's our 5th best guy, 3rd best guy on the board.
So one thing I want to add to that really quickly before we go back to our guest is, isn't it weird? The dynamic is so strange. Most teams, like John Lynch negotiates the contracts with players and their agents, but it's split up into like 3 different departments for the Bengals. You have the ownership, then you have Katie, right? Because I think everybody knows Duke Tobin's not a part of the actual negotiation process. That's Katie, right? That's Troy. And then you have Duke Tobin, who's in charge of player personnel, right? In charge of drafting and quote unquote telling Zach, hey, we're going to bring in talent. Here's the guys we suggest to you to maybe bring in off the street. And then you have Zach Taylor, coaches the team. There's not a streamlined process. There's a lot of hands in the cookie jar right now. And I've got to think they want it this way, right? They want it this way. The only team that I could honestly think that's run almost in a similar fashion is the Dallas Cowboys, with Jerry Jones being the general manager, the owner.
You don't want to be like Jerry Jones.
And you don't want to be like Jerry Jones, right? You want to essentially, I think the biggest part of leadership is I'm losing the train of thought. Delegation. Delegation is the biggest part of leadership, allowing someone, hey, this is your responsibility. I won't meddle with it. I'll get involved as needed, right? Like if we give, the ownership should really get involved if like it's like a player and you're like, hey, we're going to cut this player because his contract detrimental to the team, or we're going to cut this player because of performance. I know we just gave said player an extension, but he's not meeting, their responsibilities. Ownership might want to get involved then, because it's like, well, we just gave this dude money. Why are we going to cut him? Then it's like, okay, we trust your judgment, cut him. And then that's when you can effectively judge the job that a Duke Tobin does. Because am I crazy to think, guys? I might be, because maybe you can look at Duke Tobin from a drafting standpoint, but we don't know how good or how bad he actually is, because he's really not a part of that whole process. He's a part of the drafting process. But how much of it is he really in charge of in terms of the signing these players and recommending? I'm sure he is a part of it to a degree, but there could be a player that Duke Tobin drafted. Duke Tobin and his staff drafted Jesse Bates. That is a gem. That is a hit. That is a player that he hit on. Well, when it came to the negotiation table, I'm sure Duke Tobin would want Jesse Bates to still be a Bengal, but he's not, right? Because he's not a part of that process. Whereas if Chris Ballard drafts a guy, he's a part of also the negotiation process to keeping that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the ownership group should really never meddle with these sort of decisions. Obviously, they're going to at points if they have a really strong say, especially if there's a franchise game-changing player. But I feel like there's just too many hands in the cookie jar and there's not enough critical decision making. They need someone outside the organization that has sort of earned their stripes. Did I do that correctly, right? Who can show, hey, listen, here's my resume. Here's what I've done in the National Football League. Here's what we should be doing. Here's how you build a winning football program in Cincinnati. But I want to go back to our guest, Daniel.
Yeah, so my question to you would be, looking at this team right now, and this is more so, from the developmental side, I'm curious to see how you view the players on this team. Are there any players on the defense or offense outside of the major stars that you think are actual cornerstones for this Bengals team?
I think DJ Turner's a cornerstone. I think Dax Hill can be a cornerstone. Outside of that, not really. I was excited to see Myles Murphy kind of figure it out on Sunday, but I don't. And I also want to say this, like I've heard Malik saying this a few times, and I've heard you guys say it as well. Like, how much better you think our ends would be if we had that interior pass rush?
Dominant.
Because I honestly think that the development of Shamar Stewart, Myles Murphy, even Ojo Sosai will be a few steps longer if we had interior. Yeah, we haven't had good interior pass rush since 2021 with Larry O. So Daniel, like with your question about cornerstones, like how, I mean, do we really even know how good Myles Murphy is? Because, you know, everyone can't be Trey. You know, everyone can't win that one-on-one. But how much further would he be had we had consistent pass rush up the middle?
Myles Murphy was a developmental project that was not put in the best position to develop, if that makes sense, right? He's not a premier pass rusher that's going to get you 15 sacks in a season. He is not known for having a deep pass rush bag. He's a guy his game was predicated on power, right? He was predicated on setting the edge and maybe becoming a really good run stuffer. And maybe the hope there is his pass rushing game would develop over time. But you're asking him to win one-on-one matchups, or even matchups where he's being double teamed at points and times again with tight ends or running backs chipping him. And he's not really that type of guy, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's all, we look at the edges so much in Cincinnati, but we don't pay enough attention to the guys in the middle. I still think to this day, I think BJ Hill is a fine player, but I still am just brain fogged with how that guy was made a priority over just upgrading the position. Like you have this unspoken rule of, hey, we don't extend you when you're in your 30s, but you break that mold with BJ Hill, but yet still you nickel and dime a Trey Hendrickson, who's been your best free agency acquisition in Bengals history. To me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I agree with what you're saying, but Daniel, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, we've scouted, throughout this entire draft process last year, the year before, and man, what an interior defensive tackle would do. You look at the Dallas Cowboys against the Raiders. Look at what Quinnen Williams immediately did to that defensive line. Mm-hmm. That is what a dominant defensive tackle can do. So I totally agree with your point. Anything else on the defense tackles? Nope. Mm-hmm. So, is there any other point that you want to make before we let you get out of here?
I mean, like, echoing like all the other fans, like my wife, she bought me a package for to go to Miami for my birthday, and now I have to figure out, like, am I still going to go? Because just the inconsistency, and we talk about us fans spending money and being loyal. Like, I was really born with the Bengals jersey, in my crib. Like, my dad used to deliver pastries to the stadium, when I was a kid. So, like, this is like, the Bengals is a it's my team. But I don't know, like the guy a couple guys ago, it's like, it's a credibility issue. Like, you can't keep asking us to come stripe out the jungle. You can't keep asking us to download the wallpapers and tear down walls in the pro shop, and there's no real credibility of being responsible for what's going on. So part of me, like you all said, like, I want to see Joe come back and, I don't know, maybe have a magical run. But part of me does want the other shoe to drop and see what changes may come.
We totally agree, man. And listen, we appreciate you taking your time to be on the show. And I thought you made some great points. So we appreciate you. Round of applause for our guest, Jimmy.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, let's get our next guest in here. What's going on? What's your name and
What's
where are you
up?
from?
Hi guys, I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗧. It's nice being on the show. Big fan.
We appreciate it. Where are you from?
I'm from Mexico City.
Awesome, man. Shout out to Mexico City. So
Yeah,
listen, we've had some good guests on this show, and I'm guessing you're a Bengals fan, right?
yeah. Big fan.
Love it, man. So what do you got for us, right? Obviously, this season isn't going too well. 3-7. Joe Burrow may come back, but there's questions about Zach Taylor. What's your overall thoughts on the Bengals, and what do you got for us?
Yeah, like a lot has been said, like other guests, but yeah, just like mainly what I wanted to talk about was it's Joe Burrow. Like it's 9. It's time to play. Like he's healthy. We got a chance. Like me personally, like this weekend is gonna be like the first game I ever go. Like I'm gonna travel to Cincinnati for the first time.
Oh,
So
heck yeah.
obviously,
No, that's awesome.
Obviously I want him to play and win, but also is like, is he injured? Is he gonna be like long-term thing? But to be honest, we've seen the videos. Like he's running, he's like stomping on that foot. Like I think he's all good to go, and I don't think why he should miss the rest of the season, because as we have seen in the past, like if we're not talking like percentages, like historically the Bengals have been better in the second half of the season. So like who doesn't say like we beat the Patriots and then like Jamar comes back and goes like revenge game on Thursday night, and then
I love it.
I mean that could happen. But I do think like if that does happen, if we're gonna run, like I think Malik, I don't know, someone said that we beat the Bills. I think that's the one game we lose, because the Bengals like have lost 11 games after Thursday night. I think it's like a stat, and like they don't win games. And also like in the past, like we have been good against Mike Vrabel. Like I think we have been good against the good Mike Vrabel team. So I think there's a chance, like if Joe Burrow plays, like if you're a player on the Bengals defense and you just see like 9 like walking out the tunnel, like like the stadium, like it's gonna hype you up. So I don't know, like I think like if we take small steps, it could be done. But I honestly, it's just the Bengals always do this. They give you hope just to break you down.
Yeah.
So it would be the most Bengal thing to win, and then just do the, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Man, well, first and foremost, I'm gonna push back on something you said a little bit. What'd you say your name was again?
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is gonna be your first time in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Well, welcome, my man. Welcome, my man. Make sure you try out some good restaurants here, like Jeff Ruby's, if you could, or there's a couple of different restaurants you could try out while you're here if you're a steak fan. But anyway, you said something. I'm gonna push back on it. You said with Joe Burrow, we have a chance, right? You believe that? I believe that too. But you said in the same sentence, well, the Bengals have had success against Mike Vrabel, right? You know who else the Bengals have had success against? You know who else at the helm with Joe Burrow at quarterback the Bengals have never lost against? The team that you said you think the Bengals are actually going to lose to, and that's the Buffalo Bills. And listen, for me, if I got to push back on it, I'm going to push back on that a little bit like that. You know, I want you to keep your faith, not only for the Bengals, Joe Burrow-led Bengals against Mike Vrabel, but keep your faith heading into Buffalo, right? The last time the Bengals are going to play in, what's the stadium called? Highmark Stadium? So again, is that the stadium's name actually?
Almost positive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Highmark Stadium, whatever it is. But anyway, at the end of the day, man, keep that faith. Keep that faith. Listen, one thing I want you to touch on, though, really, really quickly, though. All right. And some people in the comment section are saying you look like 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗧, by the way. I don't know if you see that, but people are saying you look like 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
No, I didn't see.
I want to get your thoughts on the defense. Because you talk a lot about Joe Burrow, you talk a lot
Don't get me
about
started on the defense.
this offense, but give me your thoughts on the defense, because right now this is the worst defense in the National Football League. So I want to get your
In
thoughts.
history.
In history.
Yeah,
Whoa,
like
what are the exclamation? History.
we all have eyes. Like we're all seeing the same thing. Like it's the worst defense I've ever seen. Like I don't want to see Geno Stone. Like it's just embarrassing. Like how are you getting like, dude? Like you're getting paid to play. Like I've personally never played football, but I think like you're pumped. Like you want to go out and like hit other one, and it's like the Steelers. You want to go out there and knock someone out. Like, but just go there and let him pass. No, like before I didn't like him. Like he's the worst run defender. He just overshoots the gas. It's just bad. Like I think like it's just the defense is so bad. Like they have to do something. Like what from I remember, like Dejan, like I think he has like that physicality. He has the like character. Like the team lacks character. Like they don't have personality. They don't like go out there and like get on the face of the players. Like they need like a Jalen Ramsey type player. Just get in your face. Like be physical. Like it's AFC North football. Like you have to be physical. Like hit somebody. I don't know. Like we need somebody to step up and be physical.
It's totally fair what you're saying. I agree. Especially when you look at the defense, right? Because a lot's made of the offense. You got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins, you got Burrow, you got these guys that go out there, make big plays, and kind of show their chest, and rightfully so. And the defense, they've tried, right? Jordan Battle is shown at times. But I agree. When you think about the Bengals, right? Vontaze Burfict, Geno Atkins, you got guys out there where when the opposing team stepped on the field, they were fearful. They game planned for them. If I'm an opposing offensive coordinator and Trey Hendrickson's not on the field, I don't know who I'm game planning for. I am not circling a single player. Obviously, DJ's good, Dax is good, but I'm not circling a guy saying we need to slow him down. Yeah. Geno Stone, like you said, he's a fine player, but at this point,
he's
at 3-7, he's worse than fine. Like,
what is he like? Is he actually like? What does he give you? What does he give you? Like much, honestly, man. Like is he like ball hawk? Like no, I'm sorry, he doesn't like give you anything. Like
that man wears a mean jersey. All right.
God, I guess so. But before we let you get out of here, man, you're from Mexico City. How in the hell did you become a Bengals fan? Well, how did that start, man? Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's a funny story because like on TV before, like you see like all the ads and stuff, and you would see a lot like promoting like the league, and I would always see when I was small that Jerome Simpson like front flip against the Cardinals that would always show up, and I was like, that's so sick, like, and like the helmet's cool and everything. So yeah, I just like started like liking them, but like I really picked up like maybe like probably 2018, 2019 is like when I really started like picking it up, like being really die hard, following everything. But yeah, it's just disappointing, man. You just get hope, and you get like they just strip it away from you. It's just, hopefully, I do think change is coming. Like I haven't been alive when they say all these 90s Bengals. But I've seen them change. Like when people asked, like from the Bengals jerseys, they changed their stripes. They changed the jerseys. They did like some changes, but I do think they have to do something. Like they cannot keep doing this. Like the Zach Taylor thing. Like I think honestly he's gone. Like people have spoken. Like the fans have spoken. They do not like him, and we do not want him back. Like. I think like we actually need like strip everything down, just build up from the ground. It's just the way to do it.
Well, listen,
like
you said
2021, like do it again.
You said you were here for the rough times, man, and boy, did you pick a time to pick up supporting the team. The 2018-2019 season were rough. were rough, man. So listen, brother, we want to thank you so much. We hope that you have safe travels to Cincinnati. We hope that you enjoy the game, my man. And we
Hopefully
appreciate
Joe
you
Burrow
so much for
plays,
supporting
man.
the show.
I'm really hoping.
Man, for your sake, I hope
Yep.
I hope he plays too, man. Now I'm rooting for him to play just for Eagler, man. But best of luck, my man. Hope you enjoy your time here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, man. Big fan.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Man, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. We really do appreciate
International.
Yeah, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in to State of the Jungle. We really, really do, man. And while we got you guys here, again, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we do go live. We'll be live again on Monday. We won't be live tomorrow or Friday. Daniel's going back to California for a little bit. So we'll be back live again on Monday discussing all the latest happenings, and we'll be seeing if the Bengals found a way to find a victory. Evan, is there anything that you want to add before we head out of here?
No, man. Shout out to him for his trip to Cincinnati and
awesome.
just, like you said, bearing through the early bad parts of the Bengals to enjoy some of the good parts. Good for him. Hope you enjoy Cincinnati. Like you said, man, get a lot of good eats, take a lot of good pictures.
He surprised me. He said he's been watching since Jerome Simpson was
he
doing
said
flips and
that's
stuff
how
like
he
that.
started to be a Bengals fan. That was awesome.
No,
You
that's
love-
awesome, man. So congrats to him. Hope he enjoys his trip, man. And hopefully, again, as the Bengals fan, not as a analyst or anything else, I hope Joe Burrow plays and he gets
Just
to see
for
the
him.
Bengals victory.
That's it.
Yeah.
Man, I love poignant Evan. That's what I do. I love poignant Evan. Listen, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of State of the Jungle. We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Same crew, same time as always. If we don't catch you guys on the show next week, if you guys aren't tuning in, we hope that you guys have a happy Thanksgiving with you and yours. And we appreciate you guys for making us a part of your regular routine each and every single Wednesday. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time, who dat?